In the last section, we added several thousand records to our database, but then we noticed a little bit of an oddity. If we got down to a compacted result set, like I can only see 5 records right now, our UI still reflected 15,000 records found and really made our user think that there was many more than just the 5 that are being shown right here. This error is being caused by our search artist query. So right now, I'm inside of my search artist file inside the queries directory. So here's search artist right here. If you recall, inside of this function, we had an artist.count call right here. So this artist.count is what is powering that pagination feature at the bottom of the page. We're recording the count, or returning the count from that query, and that is exactly what is being shown right here. So clearly we don't want to show like always 15,000 records because that's really confusing to the user. The number of records returned, or the count right here, should match the number of records that match the search criteria. So there's one very particular thing I want to mention there. If I go down to, let's say we're going to search for only artists who are between 15 and 16. Okay, so here we go. So in theory, maybe this is like several hundred right here, right? Like who knows, but in theory, several hundred. The thing that I want to be really clear about is that however many artists come back from that query is how many we should see right here. Okay, that's how many we want to see right here. We want to see like the several hundred. In other words, we want to get a count of the total number of artists who match this query right here. The reason I'm spending a little bit of time to kind of drive that point home is that we want to get this total count before we run the skip and limit function, right? Before we run skip and limit. Because skip and limit is always going to return at best 20 records. And we don't want to tell the user that, oh yeah, there's only 20 records found from your search result. No, 20 is how many they can currently see, but in total, the number that match their search criteria is a little bit different. So in other words, we need to really do some work on artist.count right here. So to fix this up, what we essentially need to do is pull off this query right here and then get a count of the returned or of the number of records that match this query, this find with the build query right here. So you might be hoping right now, okay, Stephen, well, can we like save a reference to this right here, then get a count from this, and then also do like the sort and the skip and the limit? And the answer is unfortunately no. If you ever want to get a count of the total number of results that are returned from a possible query before you do the limit and the offset or the skip, you have to do 2 separate queries. There's no way to do both these things in one step. So in other words, to fix this problem right here that we're having with the counts, I'm going to take this entire query that we're building up here. I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to just stick it right in before the dot count. So now I'm left with artist.find. We build up the query with the criteria, and then we call dot count on it. So yes, unfortunately, this is going to issue 2 separate operations to our Mongo database. It's not ideal. It'd be great if there was a better way to do this, but unfortunately in Mongo, there's not. So we've got one query going out that's going to fetch all of our compacted result set, like just enough to show 1 page of data. And then we're going to issue another query whose purpose is going to be just to find the number of records that match this given search criteria. Okay, so let's give this a shot out inside of our app. I'm going to go up to the top. I'll refresh the page. And now if I do a search again for Aaron, keep in mind that you might see a different number of Aarons because all this data is randomly generated. I correctly see, all right, 5 records found. There's 1 page and I cannot go to the next page. Likewise, if I say only show me artists between the ages, that slider's a little bit temperamental, but let's say 43 and 44, and then I scroll down to the bottom, I see that, all right, I've got 974 records that match that criteria, and I can correctly page through all the different records. Cool. All right, this is definitely working out. I think that we've conquered the entire application, everything we have to do. I hope you enjoyed working on this application. It definitely ended up being a pretty nice looking thing, if I do say so myself. All right, I'll catch you in the next section.